Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. It's well documented that Vermont's population is one of the oldest in the country. Our population is also one of the healthiest. When it comes to aging, the United Health Foundation ranks Vermont senior citizens as the healthiest in the nation. One of the reasons for our first in the nation ranking are the policies and programs that support our aging population. So today we're going to learn about a long-term care program for older Vermonters and those with physical disabilities. Joining me are two guests from the Vermont Department of Disabilities, Aging and Independent Living. Sarah Lane is a registered nurse and the department's Aging and Disabilities Program Manager, and Matt Corjay is director of a project that you may be hearing about for the first time. He heads the Money Follows the Person program. It's going to be interesting to learn what that's all about. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Sarah, let's start with a little bit of a background. Historically, what have been the long-term services and support options for Vermonters?
Sure. Well, historically, for Medicaid-eligible older Vermonters and adults with physical disabilities, the options were very, very limited, and those were the primary option was receiving their care in a nursing facility. In 2005, Vermont created what is called Choices for Care. And this originally was a demonstration waiver, an 1115 waiver that Vermont worked with the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services to develop. And this waiver allowed Vermont to be innovative in their service delivery while improving care, creating efficiencies, and reducing costs. So back in 2005, Vermont was really blazing the trail to create additional options and improvements to the long-term service and support system for our Medicaid-eligible Vermonters.
And so what are the long-term services and support options now?
So now, today, we have for our Medicaid-eligible long-term care, Choices for Care eligible Vermonters, they are able to choose to receive their care in their own home or in the home of a friend or a family member. They could do a shared living model. They could access care from a licensed level 3 residential care home or assisted living residence, or still in the nursing facility.
Mm-hmm. So what is Choices for Care?
So Choices for Care is a Medicaid-funded long-term service and supports program that pays for personal care, as well as some additional services and supports for older Vermonters and adult Vermonters with physical disabilities.
Mm-hmm. And so what are the financial and clinical eligibility requirements?
Sure. To be eligible initially for applying for Choices for Care, you have to be a Vermont resident, and you have to be at least 18 years of age or older and have a physical disability. There's both a clinical and a financial eligibility for Choices for Care. The clinical eligibility determinations are done by registered nurses, who we refer to as long-term care clinical coordinators, or LTCCCs for short, and they work throughout the state of Vermont, and they actually do face-to-face assessments with the individuals who are applying for Choices for Care. So this is a functional assessment that they're doing. They're determining what kinds of needs folks have around their activities of daily living and personal care needs.
And so then what are the options for these Vermonters who are eligible?
So these options, once it's determined that an individual is clinically eligible for Choices for Care, we partner with our Department for Children and Families, the Economic Services Division, and the Department of Vermont Health Access, where they have benefit processing specialists who apply the long-term care Medicaid rules for the financial eligibility. So if an applicant has met the clinical and financial eligibility, they can choose where and how to receive their services. So again, those might be services in their own home. It might be services in the home of a friend or a family member. They may choose a shared living option, or they may decide that they'd like to live in a residential care facility and receive enhanced services there, or in a nursing facility. So there's several options, and there's even options within our options for individuals to choose from.
Now, Matt, as I mentioned in the introduction, you're the director of the Money Follows the Person program. What's that?
Oh, that's a federally funded grant to help Medicaid-eligible residents of nursing facilities to receive their services in a home and community-based setting. This could be in their own home, it could be in an apartment, or in, we have a new program called Adult Family Care Homes, which is like an adult foster care system where Vermonters actually open their home up and allow people to come and live with them. So we just recently got a $8 million grant extension, so that means we're going to be able to help Vermonters for another 3 years. This will get us through the end of 2018.
And this is really sort of a pilot program?
It is. It's a demonstration program made by the Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services to try to help states enhance their home and community-based services. So as the population gets older, there just will not be enough capacity in the nursing facilities. And the government is looking for a way to help enhance the home and community option. So one, it's a more fiscally responsible way to do it, and people actually report a better quality of life living in the community versus in a nursing facility.
Well, I know several elderly relatives of mine, no one wanted to go into a nursing facility. Everybody wants to stay in place.
They would like to age in place, yes. You know, nursing facilities do a great job, and a lot of people need to be there, but
right.
At some point, when their health is better and they're able to do that, it's a great option for people.
So what are the goals of the Money Follows the Person grant?
The primary goal is to help people that may not think it's possible to actually get their services in the community. So that's the primary goal. Secondary goal is to help, like I said earlier, the states build the capacities. One, more caregivers, trained caregivers and stuff for the home and community-based services.
Mm-hmm. And so how long has the MFP program been active in Vermont, and have Vermonters been using this program?
Absolutely. We've been active since 2012, and in those 4 years we've transitioned about 240 people. So about 60 people per year take use of these funds, and and age isn't really an issue. A lot of people think just because I'm older I need to stay in nursing facilities. About a third of those people that we help transition were over the age of 75, and probably about 10 of them were in their 90s when they wow. actually were ready to go from the institution back to the community. So age is not a barrier in this program at all.
And so this would help someone who maybe has had to have a nursing home stay, and in the meantime mm-hmm. either had to sell a home or let an apartment go.
Yeah, so many times that's what happened, as sometimes people outlive their community supports, their families and things. So it's not just that age. So now it's that has their ability. They may have lost their home, they may have lost all their belongings, and before you know it, they have the ability to go back in the community and start rebuilding that life there.
Mm-hmm. And so are there eligibility requirements for the grant program?
There are, like all grant programs. One, it's a Choices for Care program, so the person must meet all the eligibilities for the Choices for Care program. They must have a qualifying nursing home stay, so it's 90 days or more in a nursing facility. And they must transition to a specific kind of housing. So again, either their home, mm-hmm. it can be an apartment, or an adult family care home.
So you're looking for something that's pretty permanent?
Yes, mm-hmm. absolutely.
And so what do you see as the benefits of this program?
So the primary benefit is, imagine if you were moving and all the things that had to go on. So a lot of times that can be really chaotic. So we have transition coordinators that work across the state, and they're there to help the participant navigate the whole discharge planning process, getting ready to move in, physically even helping them move sometimes, taking their belongings and go there. In addition, there's a $2,500 grant that the person can get to help with things like if there's home modifications that need to be done to the apartment, either a ramp or widening doorways. Sometimes people don't have money for security deposits, so that money can be used to get first and last month's rent to get into an apartment, or just general household goods.
So every case, I would imagine, is a little bit different. So how do you deliver this sort of individual kind of plan for all these folks?
Well, that's what we're really about at Choices for Care is a person-centered planning process. And they sit down with the person's case manager, with the discharge planning team, the person and their family, and figure out what that person wants and what they need and develop a plan accordingly that is centered around their outcomes that they would like to see.
So if someone's watching this and says, gee, I really, want to find out what this all entails, what is it like for that first phone call to find out, and then what happens after that for the folks who are interested in something like this? Do they contact you directly? Do they contact their caregivers?
So if it's an individual who's interested, we have through our Aging and Disability Resource Center various partners who provide options counseling for folks. And this is one way that they could access, applying for Choices for Care, but our ADRC partners and options counselors also have a lot of additional information around other community services and supports that folks may also want to access depending on what their goals are and what their needs are. So to be able to access this service, though, for anybody who's over the age of 60, they would want to call the Senior Helpline, which goes to their local area agency on aging. And that phone number is toll-free. It's 1-800-642-5119. And then for anybody who's under the age of 60, we would like them to contact the Vermont Center for Independent Living. And their toll-free number is 1-800-639-1522.
And advice for family members maybe who might think this is an option for someone in their family?
Sure. If they feel like they have a family member who has some physical needs, might be declining with whatever health issues they're having, they can certainly also reach out to our Aging and Disability Resource Center partners, so the Senior Helpline or VCIL as well.
And I think to add to that, don't wait. Right. A lot of times people think that they can handle it themselves. There's a bunch of community partners out there just waiting to help. And the sooner you can get the help, the faster you can get back to a normal life.
Yeah, caregiving is a really tough job, and it takes a toll a lot of times on the caregiver. So the earlier they can access additional services and supports that their family member might be eligible for, that would be really, really great for them.
We talk a lot about Vermont's aging population. It sounds like these are the kinds of programs that sort of set the framework for maybe what will happen in the state going forward.
Yes, absolutely. That's we are always continuously improving our programs, and that's what Sarah and I kind of do on a daily basis, is try to figure out what's working, what's not working. We have meetings with our participants and all the stakeholders in the community. We're always trying to improve these programs. So, I think it's pushing the limits of what the system can do, and ultimately getting the care to people that need it.
Now, we mentioned too earlier that younger folks can take advantage of some of these programs as well.
Yes, absolutely. The age qualification is being 18 years of age or older. So we do have a number of younger adults who have physical disabilities and are certainly enrolled in our program and are receiving the services to support them out in the community.
Now, someone's maybe watching this program and has a question but doesn't maybe think it really applies to what we've been talking about, but maybe does. Should they call anyway?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's better to call and inquire than to not.
And let's just put those numbers up again for folks who might be interested. And that's the Senior Helpline, 1-800-642-5119. And if you're under 60 years old, you can call 1-800-639-1522. Any final words? You mentioned caregiving is a huge job for folks. Again, lots of options out there for help.
Yes, absolutely. Caregiving is a big job, and so if you are a caregiver of a family member or a friend, whoever it might be, certainly reach out. There may be some additional services and supports that could assist you as a caregiver in that process, because it's a lot of work. It's time consuming, and oftentimes caregivers have other jobs as well, and other extended family that they're also caring for. So if they could, we would love for people able to get the support that they need.
Well, I want to thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. We'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.